The U.S. blockade on Iranian ports forcing the regime to store its oil instead of selling it. And that stoppage could soon force Iran to shut down production, and that would deal a devastating blow to an economy that is already in free fall.
So now, just yesterday, the CENTCOM commander, Brad Cooper, he was back at the White House, the admiral presenting the new war plan with the president, giving him the option, should an order to end the ceasefire be given now? President Trump also weighing in on the current state of play with reporters when he said the following.
Iran is proving to be very stubborn. The talks seem like they are stalled. Are you getting antsy to break the ceasefire?
Well, I mean, I don't know what stubborn is, because really nobody knows what the talks are except myself and a couple of other people. They want to make a deal badly. We have a problem because nobody knows for sure who the leaders are. It's a little bit of a problem, you know. The leaders have been wiped out along with their military, almost all of their military.
Lucas Tomlinson is reporting live from Dubai for us this morning. Hi, Lucas.
Good morning, Dana. From an OPEC-free UAE also being celebrated today as that goes into effect. The now former oil cartel member free to pump and export as much oil as at once, including through a pipeline to bypass the Strait of Hormuz, which remains effectively closed. And General Jack Keane says the war has now ground to a stalemate.
They, in their minds, can outlast us in the sense that political pressure, getting closer to the midterms, economic pressure with gas prices on the administration, they believe, even though we have the economic blockade, at some point we will end the war, stop everything, or make a deal with them.
And while enforcing the more than 2-week-old blockade, U.S. military Central Command said it has turned away 44 vessels now. Other ships remain stuck pierside in Iran or at anchor offshore. The U.S. Navy's blockade has made life even more miserable for Iran's 93 million people. As you can see by this chart, some estimates say Iran's economy is on the verge of collapse. And Americans back home also feeling the effects of the war. Despite the 3-week-old ceasefire, the national average for the price of gasoline is now the highest in 4 years. In an effort to fill the gap, U.S. crude oil exports have hit record highs, surpassing 6 million barrels a day. And yesterday, we learned from the U.S. military's top officer, Iran is getting help from an old Cold War foe. Here's Mississippi Senator Roger Wicker, chairman of the Armed Services Committee.
General Kane, there's no question that Vladimir Putin's Russia is taking serious action to undermine our efforts for success in Iran.
There's definitely some action there.
In addition to leaving OPEC, the UAE now telling residents not to travel to Iran, Iraq, or Lebanon as negotiations continue between the U.S. and Iran. Dana?
Thank you, Lucas. Stay safe, and thank you.
I want to bring in former CENTCOM spokesman Joe Pacino. And Joe, welcome to our program here. It's good to have you on here.
Hi, Joe.
A couple of things here. The blockade's doing its job by the U.S. Navy. That economy in Iran is getting battered. It seems the IRGC is in charge. If you agree with all three of those things, what now, Joe?
Well, I think we resume, Bill, the military destruction here. I think what you've got is you're laying two measures of pressure on top of each other. You got the military pressure, and then on top of that, you got the economic destruction really here imposed by the blockade. You know, the military component of this has in many ways already been won, but we can continue the strikes on infrastructure, on bridges, on oil facilities, on command and control nodes, you know, continue those strikes, and then really just behind that, continue the economic stranglehold we've got on top of Iran. And all those pressures, the idea is that we'll bring them back to a negotiation that we can live with.
General Jack Keane was on our show, on Fox and Friends this morning. It's a little bit of a different point of view. Watch here.
I think option one is return and finish what we started. We can go through a list of targets, but there's leadership targets out there, there's ballistic missiles out there, there's a remnants of the nuclear program that's out there. Also, what do we do about the Straits of Hormuz? We can't leave them in Iranians' hands. They believe now they own it. We have to militarily force that to be cleared and secured and open. And we have the military capability to do that.
So obviously, President Trump's been given all of these options as commander-in-chief. He can look across. Do you think it's just more, from your point of view, do you think it's more prudent to wait, see how the economic blockade continues to hurt them, especially if they have to change over and stop pumping oil?
I do not, Dana. I think we should start the military campaign here in the next, 48 to 96 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just continue to really put that military pressure, that military destruction, continue to hit the IRGC facilities, the drone production facilities. We've taken out so much of their military, and I think I would just, consider continuing to attrit the military production, the military facilities there, the command and control. We've now got hypersonic missiles in the region. We have twice the amount of capability in the region, almost twice the amount from when we started this campaign, February 28th. I think if we layer both of these things on at the same time, military pressure, economic destruction at the same time, I think the various, there's three kind of factions inside of Iran that are considering this. I think that leads to diplomatic pressure, which could lead to a negotiation that we can live with, that Israel can live with, and that the Gulf states can live with, frankly.
A great story this morning in the Wall Street Journal talking about the split within the country of Iran. Like the politicians want to cut a deal, but the hardliners do not. With regard to the politicians, the president said this on X on Thursday, said the world has witnessed Iran's tolerance and conciliation. What's being done under the guise of a naval blockade is an extension of military operations against a nation paying the price for its resistance and independence. Continuation of this oppressive approach is intolerable. How do you see Iran viewing its position as leverage? What are they watching here in our country, Joe?
So really quick, Bill, they're watching the polls, they're watching the gas prices, they're watching the political cycle. And what's clear from watching the White House is that President Trump is not going to feel pressured by the gas prices, by the polls, by the political cycle. And that gives him all of the leverage, because at a certain point, Iran is this economic destruction is just going to crush Iran and crush their ability to fund the war and crush their ability to pay the IRGC, and that will potentially turn to a disloyalty moment with the IRGC.
All right, Joe Bacino, it's great to have you. There's so many things that the president has to decide, and we appreciate your analysis this morning.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.